Breaking news. U.S. warships form an iron shield around Philippine gas rigs as a Chinese flotilla closes in. The standoff in the West Philippine Sea has reached a critical point. U.S. Navy destroyers now patrol these contested waters, tasked with protecting Philippine gas exploration from an encroaching Chinese maritime force. This is more than a territorial dispute. It's a confrontation that could ignite a global crisis. At stake, the Philippines' quest for energy independence, and China's sweeping claims over these waters, rejected by international law. Years of escalating aggression have led to this moment. Chinese Coast Guard vessels have harassed Filipino fishermen and blocked supply missions. Now, with American warships present, the risk of direct conflict between two nuclear-armed powers is real. The Philippines, long determined to chart its own course, stands firm, backed by a decades-old U.S. mutual defense treaty. The U.S. has made it clear an attack on Philippine forces in the South China Sea will trigger its defense commitments. The world is watching as diplomats scramble to de-escalate, but on the water, military commanders brace for the worst. Crews on both sides are on high alert, scanning the horizon for any sign of hostility. This is not a drill. This is a real-world drama with global consequences. The future of international law, freedom of navigation, and the balance of power in Asia hangs in the balance. The Philippines is determined to develop its resources for its people, while China seeks to assert dominance. The American presence is both a symbol of support and a potential flashpoint. The next move could change the course of history in the West Philippine Sea. Why is this patch of ocean so important? Beneath the waves lies a treasure trove of oil and natural gas. For the Philippines, these resources are essential for energy independence and economic growth. The country relies heavily on imported fuel, making it vulnerable to global shocks. Unlocking domestic energy would mean billions in revenue, new jobs, and a brighter future. The sea is also a vital source of food. Its rich fishing grounds feed millions and sustain coastal communities. Protecting these waters is about food security and national survival. The West Philippine Sea is a critical shipping lane, a source of pride, and a foundation for the nation's future. Losing control would mean surrendering economic destiny and heritage. That's why the Philippines is determined to defend its claims, even against overwhelming odds. The fight for these waters is a fight for survival. The stakes are economic, cultural, and existential. The world's eyes are on this sea where prosperity and sovereignty are on the line. The outcome will shape the Philippines for generations. China's claim, the infamous Line, sweeps across almost the entire South China Sea, overlapping the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Beijing insists on historic rights, but international law, UNCLOS, rejects this. China enforces its claim with Coast Guard vessels, maritime militia, and fishing fleets, using intimidation rather than open warfare. Filipino fishermen are driven from traditional grounds, their livelihoods threatened. The Philippine military struggles to resupply outposts like the BRP Sierra Madre, constantly harassed by Chinese ships. China's strategy established de facto control, making it risky for the Philippines to exercise its rights. Beyond harassment, China has built artificial islands, equipping them with runways and missile systems. These militarized outposts project power deep into the region, changing the strategic landscape. The international community condemns this militarization, but China presses on. The power imbalance is stark, but the Philippines refuses to back down. The Line remains a flashpoint for regional tension. Under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, the U.S. is bound to defend the Philippines. Recent years have seen Washington clarify, any armed attack on Philippine forces in the South China Sea will trigger this commitment. U.S. Navy warships now patrol alongside Philippine vessels, sending a clear message to Beijing. These joint patrols uphold freedom of navigation and international law, deterring aggression. Behind the scenes, the U.S. shares intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, giving the Philippines a vital edge. Enhanced military exercises like Balikatan build interoperability and confidence. U.S. support helps modernize the Philippine military, making it more self-reliant. The alliance is not just symbolic, it's a real force multiplier. The U.S. presence is a deterrent, but also a catalyst for Philippine capability. Together, they stand ready to defend sovereignty and stability in the region. For Filipino fishermen, the conflict is personal, a daily struggle for survival. Small boats face off against massive Chinese Coast Guard vessels, risking water cannon attacks and confiscation of their catch. Many have abandoned traditional fishing grounds, devastating coastal economies and pushing families into poverty. Philippine government vessels are constantly shadowed, their crews forced into dangerous cat-and-mouse games. Chinese ships perform risky maneuvers, violating maritime norms, and raising the risk of collision. Filipino sailors must remain disciplined, asserting presence without escalating. The most dramatic struggle, resupplying the BRP Sierra Madre, a rusting outpost under constant blockade. Each mission is a test of courage and resilience, as small supply boats run a gauntlet of larger Chinese ships. These men and women are on the front line, holding out for their country against overwhelming odds. The psychological toll is immense, but so is their determination. Every day at sea is a gamble between feeding families and facing danger. The world may see geopolitics, but for them, it's about survival. Their fight embodies the nation's resolve. The Malampaya gas field, once the backbone of Philippine energy, is running dry. Its depletion threatens blackouts and higher energy costs. New gas discoveries near Palawan offer hope, if they can be developed. These fields, within the Philippine EEZ, could secure the nation's energy future. But China's harassment at sites like Recto Bank has stalled progress, scaring off investors. No company will risk billions if their assets aren't safe. The U.S. military presence provides a security umbrella, deterring Chinese interference. This stability encourages investment and development. American warships don't just defend territory, they help unlock economic potential. The stakes are national security, affordable energy, and prosperity for millions. The outcome will determine if the Philippines can control its own energy destiny. The West Philippine Sea standoff is a regional and global concern. Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei face similar Chinese coercion and watch the Philippines struggle closely. This has sparked new security cooperation, joint exercises, intelligence sharing, and modernized coast guards. The region is building a network to uphold a rules-based order. The South China Sea is a vital artery for global trade. Conflict here would disrupt supply chains and trigger economic chaos. Even European powers now send ships to assert freedom of navigation. The standoff is a clash of visions, international law and equality versus dominance by force. The outcome will shape Asia's future and the global order. The world's prosperity and security are tied to these waters. What happens here will echo far beyond the region. In 2013, the Philippines took China to court, challenging the 9-line under UNCLOS. The Hague Tribunal's 2016 ruling was clear: China's claims have no legal basis, and the Philippines' rights were affirmed. China rejected the verdict, calling it void, and continued its aggressive actions. The ruling is final and binding, but China's defiance undermines the rules-based order. The US and allies keep referencing the ruling, maintaining international pressure. The Mutual Defense Treaty provides muscle, but the Hague ruling gives moral and legal legitimacy. The Philippines' fight is now about defending global law, not just territory. The world's response to China's defiance will set a precedent for international order. The legal victory is a shield, but only if the world stands behind it. The struggle is about more than borders. It's about the rule of law itself. The Philippines stands as a test case for the world. The US-Philippine alliance aims to foster self-reliance, not dependency. American support includes modern warships, surveillance drones, and advanced training. The goal: a credible modern armed forces of the Philippines, able to deter aggression. This modernization attracts investment, especially in energy, fueling economic growth. Security and prosperity reinforce each other, creating a virtuous cycle. Peace in the West Philippine Sea depends on cooperation, respect for law, and diplomacy. China, as a major power, must act responsibly. The Philippines' future is being forged through courage, law, and partnership. The shield built today defends not just resources, but the nation's right to choose its destiny. The world is watching as the Philippines stands up for its future.